As we continue to trot across the globe in search of some of the greatest endurance racing circuits in all of the world, we find ourselves here today at Spa-Francorchamps, without a question, one of the most storied places to go racing in all of the world, and having a rich history for endurance racing nonetheless. Welcome, everyone, to the World Series League's World Challenge here today at Spa-Francorchamps. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the booth by Ewan O'Leary with our director and producer David Christie behind the scenes. And this is, well, it's not a circuit that's nearly as long as Le Mans, but it certainly presents just as many tricky challenges around here, Ewan.
Absolutely, not as long as Le Mans, but still quite long at about 7 kilometres around here. Yeah, it's still a very challenging circuit as well, as you say. Arguably more challenging as well, actually, in terms of the corners and whatever, but it's still going to be a very close race in terms of what we're going to see. We saw a lot of slipstreaming and a lot of battling in that kind of way during the first couple of races at Le Mans. We saw great fights between Sean Campbell and Harry Wills, expecting to see similar battles, possibly between those two, but a few others as well as we get on with this Spa race as well, because there's a lot of straights around here, a lot of overtaking opportunities as well.
Yes, there very much are, and it's very much a tale of two different circuits. The first and the third sector around here tend to be high power, going down the Kemmel Straight and taking the run in Simracing. Middle sector a little bit more fiddly. But we check out the GT3 Pro standings right now. Harry Wills leading the way by a solitary point over Sean Campbell. As you said there, Ewan, a very fierce battle that we saw last time out between the two of them. Jeremy Rest not too far back from them, only about 15 points back, and R.A.W.S, who had a very good run, specifically in that second race at Le Mans, looking to be able to close in as well. Chase Wilson and Dean Timms tied there for 5th place. Jonathan Millette moving along. Going on there into the AM category, it is just as close up at the top with Braden Ling, only 1 point ahead of Fabian Ponce, Eric Kulaga, Michael Fowler, Jeff Carollo, all certainly within a striking distance, and really, it has to be said, within the entire top 10. But that is not a lot of time to be able to talk about that, because we are gridding up as we get ready to go here for the first sprint race. Lining up in pole position in those pros, it's going to be Sean Campbell and Harry Wills duking it out once again. Jonathan Millette and Jerry West there lining up in row 2. Kyle Boss with Chase Wilson behind them, and Alex Trevor and James Pierce will make up row 4. Reese Newburn and Chris Long will be in row 5, followed by Kai DL and Shane Larson in 12th. Back in 13th, it looks like it's going to be Jeremy Littleton, if I am reading things right. Then Ariel Urexoy, Mark Chapman will be lining up behind them with Drew Swank, Dave Menino, Thomas Fisher, and Fernando Toros, rounding out your top 19 and in that pro category. But what about back in the AMs?
Going to be Dean Timms, who's going to be on the front ahead of James Costa there in the second place, although some of these guys are out of position, by the way, so we'll get these guys sorted into the right categories soon. But for now, we'll stick with this. Matthew Green in 3rd place alongside Russell Burton, then it's Fabian Ponce rounding out the top 5. Tristan Hurl is going to be in 6th place out of Stephen Martinez. Chasers Venkataju will be in 8th place out of Braden Merling in 9th. Michael Kulaga 10th. Daniel Fleury and Justin Delano will be sharing the 6th row together, and then moving on a little bit further down from that, it's going to be James Hebb and Andrew Rasmussen on the next row. Michael Fowler and Eric Kulaga behind them, with Drew Neubauer in the 17th position. Travis Kepler, Matthew Plaisance and Jeff Carollo round out your top 20. As we get towards the bus stop chicane, there's not time for us to go through all the names, because there's 47 cars on the grid here for this race. It's a whopping grid. We're going to be taking the green flag, of course, let's remember, on the run down towards Eau Rouge rather than the run up towards La Source.
Yeah, that's correct. We are using the endurance layout around here, and that's going to be crucial when we talk about pit stops in the second race, as that means an interminably long pit lane to go around here. But right now, the old sparring partners of Sean Campbell and Harry Wills right now lining up there. Everybody warming the tires a little bit on the Grand Prix start-finish straight as they go. The pro drivers all leading their way out, and as we've seen before, Mercedes seeming to be the dominant factor here with a lot of those AMG GT3 GT3 Evos filling up the top 10. We now come out of the source, working our way down the hill towards the start-finish line. All eyes on Barney the Flagman, and indeed the lights here to get going. And there goes the green. We are racing at Spa. It's a good start there from Sean Campbell. Harry Wills immediately tucking back in on behind him as we've got a little bit of too wide there between Tins and Olette going up R.A.W.S. You've got to be a little bit careful about that. Watch those off tracks as you come up over the top of Radion. Look at that run for Harry Wills. He's not waiting around at all.
Oh, he's going to try and go for the move immediately at Lecom here and might get it, but the outside line is really advantageous here, so he will get it on the outside. I do feel like Campbell just backed off into there, though, just to make sure the two of them can run single file through there and get away from the rest of the field that are really battling very hard.
Ooh. And that was a big wiggle there coming out of Malmedy there for Sean Campbell. Very lucky to be able to hold on to the cars. We jump back here to the AM start, watching Russell Burton, and he gets a flyer there to get away. Second place positively swamped in the order as this fleet of BMWs works their way up the hill. A lot more single file than what we saw in the pro category.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it, really. It's a lot what we saw in the EUs as well. Then it all fans out as you get through the kink and get onto the Kemmel straight for proper. Then it all does start to get a little bit feisty. You can see that in the battle for third place at the moment. Fabian Ponce just trying not to get completely swamped into that particular section of corners. It looks like he's just about managed it, although behind, the likes of Martinez and Kulaga have been off. Steven Martinez has actually gone around entirely.
Oh, and Martinez, who's had some really, really good runs here recently, is going to find himself well down the order there. We go back to check out the replay. This gaggle going down into Lacombe, trying to sort themselves out. And, just a little bit of a tip around there. I'd call that a little bit of a racing incident. Neither driver giving enough room.
I don't think Martinez gave enough room himself, and he was the one who went spinning around in the end, so maybe the damage was done there as the car went off in the background. I think it was Long and Larson have been off the road. Chris Long and Shane Larson have both been off the road at Blanchimont. There they are, dearie me, into the wall. It was the BMW of Chris Long that went off first. We've seen so many incidents through that part of the racetrack in the EU race. It's so tricky, and there's a big smash on the wall, and the Lamborghini in the background going for a big spin there as well. I think that must have been Shane Larson.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and there indeed we're going to see Shane Larson coming down pit lane, but right here we've got a very, very close battle for the lead in pro right now. That is going to be Sean Campbell almost pushing his competitor Harry Wills up the hill and up and over Radion. Here comes the draft now. He is going to be looking to make a move. The 95 going to hold on to that inside line. Campbell giving a little bit of a bump draft. Now he's going to work his way to the outside. Is he going to try to go later on to the binders here? Or maybe just see if he can elicit a little bit of a mistake from that 95? It looks like it's going to be the latter as Campbell's going to fall back into line.
And normally that Lamborghini is very strong on the outside line going into Lecom there and trying to make that move around the outside. They can get very late on the brakes with that car, and so they can make that move, not to say easily, but it's certainly the most viable option for making that move out of the field. But wasn't able to do it on that occasion there, Campbell. Unsure as to what his game plan really is for this race, whether it is to get away from the rest of the field or whether it is to attack from the very start, because after all, it is only a short race.
Yes, it is 25 minutes out here, and then we will obviously transition into our longer feature race. Got a nice little battle here in the back. That is going to be Drew Swank and Littleton. Whoa, car spinning off in front, catching Littleton out as they go down through the exit of Poohall.
It's Matthew Green, I think, who went around, and he goes straight back to the pit lane. That does Green. Oh, sorry, Littleton was the one who went around initially, and Matthew Green was the one who got into the side in the Mercedes there, I'm pretty sure. So just a spin through Paul, and could well have been completely on his own here. Jeremy Littleton decides to go straight back to the pit lane. Already 6 cars in the pit lane after this opening lap, or opening couple of laps here from the pro category only. It's been very attritional so far.
Yes, it very much has, and thus far the leaders up front have been able to keep things to themselves, but Willette trying to close in behind there. Maybe a little bit of a look around the outside for that Lamborghini coming up on Sean Campbell, and that's not going to be it. At least I didn't think it was going to be it, and it's now going to be a drag race down into La Source, but it looks like Harry Wills in that Mercedes will have the advantage. That is Willette there behind, trying to see if he can pick up a little bit of the pieces, starting to Constantina up. They've got to be careful. Dean Timms, Kyle Bose, very easy to be able to catch back in. We jump back into the Anfield. This is Jeff Carollo trying to hold off Neubauer.
Yeah, these guys are getting quite a long way off of the lead, as it has to be said, because Russell Burton now is quite a long way ahead of these guys already. despite the fact it's only very early on in this race. But this leading battle right now is very entertaining indeed, and it's allowing all of these guys to catch back on. Look at this top 5 at the moment. They're really, really close, and it's all down to those 2 up front who are fighting so hard over this lead.
It is absolutely tooth and nails as they drive down into the corner in a nice little triangle. They're trying to sort themselves out a little bit. That's going to be Dean Timms being able to get his number 46 Mercedes up into that lead spot, putting back Jonathan Ouellette and Kyle Bones as they go down through the corner. Little bit of a wide run there for Dean Timms. Maybe just trying to take a later apex through Bruxelles, trying to see if he can gain some speed on Harry Wills.
He's trying what he can at this stage to get through, and see Campbell racing and trying to racing in his second race of the day. Of course, he was in the EU Championship earlier on. I know he finished 3rd in the second race. I can't remember where he finished in the first race. Shock. But yeah, he had a good run out in the EU Championship once again. But the US, where he seems to really excel, and those around him, he just seemed to be particularly stronger than. But I have to say, this pro field is staying so close together. Look at the Anfield a bit further down. You know, they're really spread out, and the battles are starting to die down. It's starting to single file out, but in pro, it's staying very close, and it is down to these guys at the front.
Yeah, it really is. Just this constant battle. I mean, look at this train for the final podium positions right there. Tim, Ouellette, and Bose as they go, trying to see what it is. Interesting, Ouellette trying to take a little bit of a wider entry into Blanchimont to see if he can maybe get a little bit of an angle going down into the bus stop, but it looks like it's going to be Kyle Bose making the move. Nope, here comes Ouellette. He's going to try it around the outside, going to have to back out of that, discretion proving the better part of valor, and he's going to compromise his exit, and the number 2 there of Kyle Bose says that's enough for me to try to make a move.
He's not really going to get alongside very far though, unfortunately, as Michael Kilaga here is just coasting along the back straight. No idea what this is all about, and he's just going to pull off and go back to the pit lane, already having gotten damage. You'd guess that was at R.A.W.S, really, given where that car is at the time, but he goes back to pit lane here as well. So many cars have already been in here. We had 47 start this race, of course, as I said a little bit earlier on. 36 of them haven't been into the pit lane yet, sorry, even less than that.
Oh, and a big cut there for Russell Burton. That is not good, and he's going to take a tow.
Yeah, previous leader in AM. He was leading at well, maybe not at the time of that particular incident, but he also takes a tow back to pit lane. Yeah, only just over 30 cars have not been into the pit lane yet in a race where you are supposed to go the whole way through without stopping.
That's right, this is indeed the sprint race here that we are following. Oh, looks like he just got kicked up into the kitty litter, tried to get the throttle down a little bit while he was in it. Oh, got a little bit of a love tap there, stationary prone in the middle of the track, trying to get out of the way. And it looks like maybe as he tried to rejoin here, is that when he got the hit? Let's keep our eyes on it. Slowly eking his way out, and oh!
Dear me. Dear me. I think that was Michael Kilaga, actually, who got into the side of him there. First of all, probably should have held the brakes in that initial incident, which allowed one of the BMWs to get into the side of him, and then should definitely not have reversed back onto the racing line going into that corner. That was definitely the wrong thing to do, and then probably shouldn't have pulled in front of that Ferrari either afterwards, so I'm afraid. Yeah, not Russell Burton's proudest moment in a race car, unfortunately, but he'll be back to pit lane. Hopefully he'll get out there again in this race, or at least in the second race coming up later.
Yes, he will, as we focus back in on the battle for the overall lead in that pro category. Again, Sean Campbell looking very, very threatening, and a little bit of as we saw opposed to last week, where we saw a lot of Campbell holding back. He is on the attack here, going down into bus stop, taking Harry Wills for a ride. They're going to be side by side, going down the front restart finish line, but now as they go down into La Source, it's going to be a little bit of this way, a little bit of that way. Wills is going to have the optimal line, but there's going to be some momentum here for Campbell.
Well, Campbell wanted to go for the over and under there. He wanted to try and get back up the inside and get the better run by going underneath Wills there, but wasn't able to do it. And now he's going to have to make the move around the outside through R.A.W.S. Side by side, these two have already done this once today, and they do it again. This time it's a lot more even between the two. Ouellette doesn't know where to go. Dean Timms is going to be on their case soon. We could well see 4 wide if they're not careful.
Well, we're going to see 3 wide pretty much as they go down. Mega run there for Dean Timms. He's just going to have to get under the binders very, very late. Little bit of a pinch down to the inside for Sean Campbell. And now the line's going to favor back to Dean Timms. He's going to get 2 for 1 going down the Camel Straight, and that top 3 is shuffled back around.
Oh, Sean Campbell is going to have to defend from Wills here a little bit as well. As we look back from Roulette now leading this race. What a battle we're seeing between these guys. 10 minutes into this one only on lap 5, still quite a few laps to go in this one, and quite a few battles to be had as well. This is a great fight, as Jeremy R.A.W.S, I'm afraid, has been off the road a little bit further back.
Well, and look at this train. As there you can see Rest having a little bit of problems coming down into Pujol, but look at this train from first really all the way down to 7th place. Any of these drivers you could certainly say are in contention for the win, especially if something happens here at the front. As we go down through Fanyi's there, that's Wills and Campbell going side by side yet again.
Oh, really close between the two of them on the exit of the chicane, and into Stavolo they go. Now Campbell gives Wills the room, and it's a really good run around the outside for the Mercedes there, so Campbell could well get eaten alive up here through towards Blanchimont. There's going to be a real train of cars trying to just make their way through in him, and they're all deciding which way to go. He's going to be stuck up on the outside line of Blanchimont, but it looks like he's actually going to hold on here somehow.
Yes, he does. Dean Timms poking his nose this way and that, trying to see if he could maybe force Campbell offline, but I think all of that juking may have led to a little bit of a slowing down there. Side by side in the back of that looks like it's Pierce and Trevor as they go. Ooh, little bit of a bobble there for Dean Timms coming out of bus stop, but look at the run for Sean Campbell. Is he going to have a look down into the source?
He's probably be smarter to just wait until they come here, and then he can really make that move. But Jonathan Lillette is really loving this battle at the moment because it is allowing him to get away. Are they going to let him just run away with this race win, or are they going to just try and pull this one back a little bit here with Campbell and Wills? If Campbell really wants to go for the race win here, then it would be smarter to just push the Mercedes up the Camel Straight this time around. If he wants to just battle with Wills, because the two of them have just been doing that so far this season, then he'll try and make the overtake. It looks like Hughes has eyes on this race win. He pushes the Mercedes up the road here, and he wants to catch Roulette. He doesn't want to let that Mercedes get away with it completely without challenge. Oh.
Well, that's a little bit of what we saw last week, because, oh, there's Kyle Voss, the Michigander, around there coming through those corners, and he is going to have to find himself off track, falling well down the order all the way down into 14th. Checking back in, though, on that battle between Wills and Campbell. As I was saying, that's a little bit of a repeat of what we saw last week at Le Mans. Campbell being very, very willing to use that front bumper, trying to get that little bit of a bump draft down the long straightaways.
Yeah, it's the smart thing to do if you want to actually win this race, especially if you're Campbell at the moment, and hopefully Wills realises that and won't stop or won't continue to look in the mirrors quite so much anymore, and just to maybe close that gap a little bit. But let's see how that pans out. A little bit further behind, we've got the likes of DL, Newburn and Costa at the moment battling with R.A.W.S not too far behind as well there in that BMW. It's all very close here in the midfield. As well. There's real trains of cars going on up and down the field, including in Am as well, although we do have a definitive leader there.
Yes, we do, and that is Hurl out in front there. He's got the lead by about 2.5 seconds, but we watch Sheas right here, the Michigander, trying to work his way around as we focus back in on Campbell and Wills. Oh, a little bit of a bobble, little bit of a gaggle there coming down through Blanchimont. That is the Audi of James Pierce getting kicked way out wide.
Wow, I've no idea how he held on to that, but somehow he's still pointing in the right direction, and James Pierce is going to continue in 6th position at the moment. This is really resigning these guys to a spot off of the podium here in this race, I think, because the top 3 are certainly getting away, and these guys have no intentions of helping each other to try and catch the leaders. You can see now Roulette is certainly being caught by Wills and Campbell. He lost only a couple of tenths of a second on that last lap. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it will continue to add up. And as we get towards the final 5 minutes or so of this race, I think we're going to have 3 for the lead again.
I think we will as well. That gap hovering at about 1.11 seconds right now, and that is right about the area where you really want to get that draft coming into play. So I think for Wills and Campbell, they need to know that, and they need to not really squabble too much until they're able to get themselves and get that nice helping of the draft down the long Camel Straight.
Doesn't look like they are just fighting that much, to be fair. These guys certainly are, dear me. The Trevor down the inside through Malbody here, and D. Timms is going to be stalled a little bit. He knows that. He goes to defend from James Pearce into Bruxelles, and Pearce himself has to just cut across the nose of Wilson in the background. Another Mercedes just closing in on these guys, but Pearce was able to defend quite readily there, and DL, I'm afraid, looks like, from what we saw there, we picked it up quite late, but it looks like he got completely served through that hairpin there.
Yeah, I've got a sneaking suspicion that there may have been a little bit of contact here for the ERS by Skyline Designs driver, but let's take a look at it. Goes down into the corner. Maybe just a little bit of a love tap there from that BMW.
There wasn't much contact. I don't think anybody did much wrong there, really. But there we are. DL has found himself well outside the top 10 now, and not where I expected to see him today, I have to say, after coming into today 4th place in this championship, especially after his race 2 performance. This is Mark Chapman, by the way, going for a spin at Bruxelles, just having a spin all on his own. But yeah, DL put in a solid performance last time out at Le Mans, especially with that podium in the second race. Maybe he'll be able to repeat that, but he's not having things all his own way in the first race. There's no doubt about that.
No, he's not, and a crucial development here. Ouellette has been able to hold on to that gap as they broke down into the bus stop. They were about 1.2 seconds behind Jonathan Ouellette here, so that may mean that they're losing a little bit of time, and Wills and Campbell may have to change up their strategy. We look back here to Alex Trevor, Dean Timms, James Pearce, this train running along behind them. They're not necessarily looking like they want to play nice with each other. They just want to get as many points as they can.
Yeah, they possibly could have got more if they'd have been a bit smarter and kept with those front 3, but that's too late now. You might as well just fight over it here at this point, as the AM leader here is coming across one of the damaged Ferraris and giving that one a very wide berth, I should say, is Tristan Hurl, leading at the moment in the AM category ahead of Fabian Ponce, and got a name I can't say in 3rd place as well. At the moment, but yeah, it's a nice lead at the moment in AM. Not the same can't be said in Pro, although Ouellette is doing well.
Oh, and that gap slipping down a little bit here in the second sector. Ouellette finding that gap down to about 7/8 tenths of a second as they run down through Bruxelles here, trying to see what it is. Maybe that teamwork between Wills and Campbell starting to pay off. They're gonna start getting a nice keeping of the draft as they go along, and that is going to be music to the ears of the 2nd and 3rd place driver.
It certainly is. James Pearce, by the way, in that group behind, did get through briefly on Dean Timms, I think it was, but sorry, not Team Timms. He briefly got through for 5th place on Alex Trevor there, but then got shuffled back again a couple of places, so he very nearly got straight up to 4th, but straight back to 6th again for Pearce. Meanwhile, this battle for the lead, obviously, up front is really starting to close in once again. 7.5 minutes to go. I think there's still 4 laps left in this one, though.
I think that math is about right, and there's plenty of time to be able to have some things start to play themselves out. We look back on the 4th place battle in the AM category right now. This is Chase Wilson leading the way, trying to be able to hold off in that number 78 Mercedes. Trevor and Pearce, no, excuse me, this is for the Pro category, rather, that train that we were following earlier. Wilson, Trevor, Timms sending a little bit of a move there through the beginning of Blanchimont. Is he going to be able to make that stick? It looks like he is.
It was even on the entry to that corner there, actually, which is very impressive. I'm not sure if Pearce just backed out of it, but either way, through before the corner, really. 7 minutes to go, though, over the line. These guys have got 4 laps to decide between themselves who's going to take the race win, and to be honest, I've got absolutely no idea. This is the point in the race where they know they're not going to be caught from those drivers behind. They can fight it out between themselves as hard as they want to. It is really the driver who has the best racecraft is going to win this, really.
I have to agree with you there, and this is going to be a little bit about what we talked about last week as well. I think positioning yourself on the final lap. Do you want to be second in line coming up the Kemmel Straight? Do you maybe want to be second in line coming down out of Stafflo to be able to send that move down through Blanchimont into the bus stop? This is really going to change things up. Woohoo! A little bit of change in the direction there from Campbell and Wills. Almost a little bit of contact there between Wills and Ouellette as Wills tries to get the car wound up going down into the corner.
Yeah, Campbell's got to be really careful here, because any battle for 2nd place here could take them straight out the back and give the leader, whoever that might be at the time, a real big advantage. So he's in a pretty undesirable position here, is Campbell, unless he can slip through pretty much without consequence, which seems at this end of the race really quite unlikely. So it's going to be a really close battle. As speaking of close battles, the AM battle is not quite over yet because Justin Hurl may have made a mistake in one or two places, or Fabian Ponce has maybe put in a couple of good laps here, but he gained 1.1 seconds on that last lap. Not sure what happened, but the AM battle is back on again.
Yes, it is, and we saw some of the pace here out of Fabian Ponce last time out in that BMW, really being able to take some good runs in that as we focus back up here on Jonathan Willett, still holding off Harry Wills and Sean Campbell. Campbell looking like he ran a little bit wide there through Stavolo. Can pick up a few of those off tracks strategically to try to maximize time, but you don't want to be picking up too many of them.
No, absolutely. You've got 17 available before you get a drive-through penalty here, and you especially don't want one with the length of pit lane we have here. I'm sure it's not really a worry for these guys. Harry Will's going to nip to the outside now and maybe even make a move into the bus stop chicane, although Willett really does have the desirable line through here and knows that. Campbell now trying to get involved as well, round the outside through the second part. It's shoved out wide though and won't be able to make that move into this particular corner. 3 laps to go, I think.
I think that math is about right. Campbell all over the back, though, but we check back on the battle for the AM lead right now. Hurl still holding off Ponce as they run around. Everything getting a little bit close, as that is also Sheas there starting to close in behind. They're all within effective draft range of one another, so we have got a three-way battle both for the AM lead and the Pro lead right now. And then this is the battle firing off for P4 and Pro.
So close between these guys in the Pro category. Wilson trying to hold back Trevor, Timms and Pierce, who's falling away a little bit in the Audi as we get further towards the end of this race. However, if these three do collide, then there could well be an opening for him. Dean Timms has got a real good slipstream here. He's going to fire through the middle and try and take 4th place. Around the outside of Lecombe's going to be difficult, but he might just make this work, and he has done.
Whoa, impressive stuff there from Dean Timms, and it looks like there's trying to be a little bit of a follow back through there as Trevor says, I want that position as well. He's going to have to go the long way around Marcel's. There's contact, and that's Trevor around.
Yeah, Wilson really tried to dive that one deep under braking to try and take the position away from Trevor, and in the end there was contact. Trevor goes straight back to the pit lane, clearly absolutely furious with how that ended up, I'm afraid. And so hopefully he returns for race 2, but my goodness, he's not pleased with how that one ended up, as this AM battle between the top 3 as well continues on. So not many laps to go, but a 3-car battle for the lead in both categories.
Yes, there are Hurl being able to hold on here at this point, but that BMW off Ponce looking incredibly quick and definitely starting to close in. And what can Chias do there in that 3rd car, that Mercedes? What is going to happen here for this AM battle as they go off? But here we come down out of Blanchimont. For the pros, here comes Harry Wills. He's going to have a look on the outside of Jonathan Willett. Is that going to be a little bit of an opportunistic move? It looks like he's not going to be able to get it done, not able to carry the speed that he would really like to there through the bus stop, but that's not going to present an opportunity for Sean Campbell here at this moment.
No, it's not. And once again, like I said earlier, he's got to be careful here battling with Wills, because he could very easily get the two of them straight out the back. To be honest, Wills might even fancy his chances from that second position. He might just be kind of covering that one off for the final lap, as we were talking about earlier. We talked about it at Le Mans, of course, as well. He might just be covering off that second place until the very final lap, because I do think the leader is going to get eaten alive a little bit on the straight for the final time. But this is not the final lap, and so it could well be a bit of jockeying for position here. Will's just trying to ensure that second place, I think, although Campbell steamed through the middle. Oh, he has to duck to the inside. Very nearly thought about that one, but once again, Wills is able to manufacture it, basically, so that he holds on to second place, although Campbell knows what he's up to, and he takes the second place away. And the two of them now are going to fight quite hard, but is that going to allow Ouellette to get away from all of them?
It very well might. It looks like elbows out there between the Lamborghini and the Mercedes driver, getting very, very close, and I'm pretty sure there was a little bit of contact there going up through Lacombe. But now it's all going to be on Harry Wills to try to catch back into all of this, and also on Sean Campbell. Let's go ahead and check out a replay there. Yeah, the minorest of contact there in between the two, I think.
Yeah, there was a little bit of contact, but nothing really that you'd say was malicious or that you'd say that was illegal, certainly in terms of the way these races are supposed to be raced. So yeah, it's nothing too bad really. Just a bit of shoulder barging going on between those two in the end. This battle further behind just seemed to be a little bit more spaced out than it was previously. Although Dave Newburn has had a Reese Newburn has had a really good final couple of moments here. Chase Wilson off the road completely. Newburn is going to get that top 5 position because the Mercedes spins off into the wall.
And that looks like just a little bit of understeer coming down on the exit of Pujols, getting out into the kitty litter and trying to put the pedal down a little bit too hard. But here is the battle with Newburn and Timms Pierce rather. Audi versus Ferrari coming down into Blanchimont. It looks like Pierce is going to have the advantage, but he spins!
Oh, Pierce goes around Blanchimont and gets pretty bad damage as well. He's going to get passed by a couple of his teammates, and I'm afraid that car's quite badly damaged. He is going to crawl across the line to get some points in 1 lap's time, but it's not going to be great. Here it is, he just loses it completely. Maybe even snagged a bit of that curb on the left-hand side.
Maybe he did, as we watch here drivers crossing over the line. I believe white flag in the air as they go climbing up the hill. This is going to be the battle royale. Oh. Look at that run for Sean Campbell under cross. No. Contact between Campbell and Willett. They both spin out.
Oh, Campbell was trying to fit the car in a gap that really wasn't there, I'm afraid, in the end. And R.A.W.S is going to waltz onto this victory by the looks of things. Have a look at this at the moment. It's hard to see from this angle, but Sean Campbell is off the road here. If we maybe join it a little bit earlier, we can see the fact he got a really good run out of R.A.W.S and Radion. There's no doubt about that. And he would have had the position had he just been a little bit calmer with this one. But he tried to go to the right-hand side there when clearly all of the road was to the left. Let's have a look from this one now. Clearly all of the road is to the left here. When you get to the outside, he's on the outside now, sort of. His nose is not really alongside. He's off the road already. Mercedes is just taking the racing line. Campbell is off the road. He initiates the contact, in my opinion. Now, he lost a race win, in my opinion, to a move by R.A.W.S that really was a questionable one. That one, on that occasion, he has lost out on the race win, of course. But I don't think he can blame anybody but himself in the end.
I don't think he can either. I think that was a little bit too aggressive of a move, and that is going to come back to bite him. The one good news for him is that he does have about a 3-second advantage over Dean Timms right now, and it looks like he'll be able to coast home in second. But one driver who is not worried about that at all is R.A.W.S, who comes down now through Blanchimont and continues to go rocking and rolling around here.
Yeah, great performance there from R.A.W.S to take this win here today, extending that championship lead, which he only has 1 point over Sean Campbell at this stage. He's going to extend that to a measly 4 points by the end of this. A great championship shaping up here, and a great win from R.A.W.S.
A fantastic win from Harry. Very, very well done. Sean Campbell looks like he's going to be able to limp over the line there to take second place, and Dean Timms also limping as well behind that battle that we were following behind. Jonathan Roulette coming in there as well. Kai DL able to recover back up into 10th place. Let's jump back here to the AM category, and this is Hurl.
Where's Fabian Ponce gone? Fabian Ponce is down in 14th, and he's in the pit lane. Clearly something has gone wrong, I'm afraid, for the Chilean driver, and he's dropping way down the order now, way outside the top 10 after challenging for the lead not so earlier on. But Tristan Hurl's going to be very glad about that, because he's going to be able to take this victory without too much challenge in the end.
It's sounding like in our ear that Ponce had some sort of a crash that allowed him, but we're going to keep our eyes focused here on the Celeritas driver of Tristan Hurl as he comes out of the bus stop and will take victory in the AM class. Sheas will be the one behind him to round out the 1-2. Here is what happened to Ponce. Looks like he may have already had some damage. I wonder if that was an issue. It's a strange place to pick that up, I'll be honest.
It is. I do wonder if there's been contact with Hurl at some point around the circuit. He's already got the damage heading towards La Source as well, so I think he's got it through Blanchimont. He's tried to kind of nurse the car home through the final lap, but he's not been able to. Justin Delano getting a position there, you can just see in the Porsche, but you can see in the background, Ponce just all over the place. Is it through Blanchimont? It looks like it might have been. But these are live pictures once again. Yeah, Ponce is going to be really disappointed with that. But it does mean he'll be further towards the front for the reverse grid, where he's got a real chance of putting in a very good performance indeed. Only managed 5th place. Only managed to recover to 5th place at Le Mans after winning the first race. Did Fabian Ponce, so maybe a better performance for him on this second race. We'll get him up the standings just a little bit, but the points he's missed out on here are going to be very costly.
Yes, they are.
Oh, here
and
it
this is the incident.
Oh.
Ooh, was that a little bit of contact there with R.A.W.S, or was that just a massive snap of oversteer?
I think he was. Yeah, I think he was already going for the spin, and then R.A.W.S was so close that he actually couldn't avoid it in the end. This is Ponce heading down towards their comp. That's quite a long time earlier. There might be. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is actually a side-by-side battle. So he was previously battling with the Mercedes. Now let's have a look. I don't think there is contact before the Mercedes before the BMW is already getting way out of shape there.
Yep.
Overcorrects, and then the Mercedes just sealing the deal really, but Fabian was already going straight into the wall, I'm afraid. Big damage and a lot of points lost, I'm afraid, on that occasion. But what an exciting race that was. That was really, really interesting, and I have to say that possibly better than both of the EU races so far. Maybe I'm just biased because I've just seen that one, but anyway, yeah, I thought it was a great race.
I thought it was fantastic as well, and don't worry, we've got a longer one coming up here in a couple of minutes, but let's run you through that finishing order. As we said, Harry Wills able to take victory over Sean Campbell, who was able to limp his way home. Dean Timms and Dave Menino there, 3rd and 4th, with Jonathan Roulette really coming out worse of that damage of the crash there with Sean Campbell. R.A.W.S and then James Costa will be 6th and 7th, followed by Kyle Boss, Reese Newburn, and Kai DL rounding out your top 10. In 11th, it was Drew Swank, followed by Jeremy Rest, Chase Wilson, Mark Chapman, Fernando Torres, James Pierce, Alex Trevor, and Shane Larson, all having some issues there and finding themselves a couple of laps down, as did the rest of the field. But let's head over to those AM results.
Yeah, Tristan Hurl with the victory there. In the end, it looked comfortable because of the drivers behind having particularly bad issues. Justin Delano ended up 2nd ahead of Casey Metzger, and Jeff Carollo and Drew Neubauer managed to get themselves inside the top 5. Matthew Plaisance was just outside of that ahead of Eric Kulager, who did have a couple of issues through Lecom in the opening lap, but still recovered to 7th. Charles Boschel was 8th ahead of Shares in the Mercedes, dropping down to 9th position. Not sure where or how, but did. John Casey dropped down to 10th place ahead of Michael Fowler, the final car on the lead lap. Fabian Ponce did end up in the pit lane, did finish 12th in the end. After that issue, James Head was 2 laps down. Stephen Martinez, after that spin at the first lap, finished 14th ahead of Jonathan Whitmoyer. Daniel Florea in the McLaren was 17th ahead of Porky Free. Brendan Mailing, the championship leader, only 19th. Andrew Rasmussen, 20th. Andrew Hewitt, 21st. Russell Burton, previous leader, only finished 22nd. Travis Kepler, 23rd. And Eric Blumenkrantz barely took the green flag in that race.
Yes, he did a lot of attrition rearing its ugly head here at Spa. And I've got to be wondering now, Ewan, as we get ready for this second race, twice as long, pit stops mandatory, are we going to see some of that aggression restrained a little bit, or are we going to see a full 50-minute slugfest over the course of it? Well, we'll have to find out here in a little bit as we switch over servers. Hang with us. Do not go anywhere. We will be back for race 2 in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the fearsome, challenging, and fantastic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the booth by Ewan O'Leary with our director and producer David Christie behind the scenes. And Ewan, we saw a pretty frantic running there in the first race, 25 minutes, but now we are ready for the feature race. 50 minutes here, a mandatory pit stop. Are we going to see a little bit more restrained aggression over the course of this, or are we still in for another very chaotic race?
Well, given the fact that both the Pro and the Am categories are both going to be reversed within their own classes there, I think there's probably not going to be any less aggression, really. Those at the back of the field really do need to get up towards the front quite quickly, and those who are at the front are going to be desperate to stay up the front and try and get the best result they possibly can out of this race. So I don't think we're really going to see very much less aggression, to be honest, from what we just saw there. Maybe a few less incidents would be nice, but no, I think it's going to be the same excitement as to what we just had.
I have to agree with you there, and with practice ending, we are ready to go through the qualifying order here. As we said, reversed finishing order from that first race. It's going to be Will Lindley lining up in pole position for the pros with Shane Larson next to him, Alex Trebor and Fernando Torres in second row. Mark Chapman and Chase Wilson will be behind them, followed by Jeremy R.A.W.S and Drew Swank. Kai DL and Reese Newburn will be in P10. Kyle Bose lines up in 11th, followed by James Costa in 12th. 13th, Ariel Urexoy, followed by Jonathan Roulette, with Dave Menino and Dean Timms behind them. Sean Campbell and Harry Wills there will be in the next row, followed by Jeremy Littleton, Matthew Green, Chris Long, and Thomas Fisher rounding out your 22 Pro Car field. But what about the AM category?
Michael Kulaga is going to be on the pole for the AMs alongside the McLaren Daniel Flores. Stephen Martinez is going to be third ahead of James Hebb, with Fabian Ponce fifth place. Watch out for him. Michael Fowler going to be in sixth ahead of John Casey. Then Shares in the Mercedes in eighth place. Charles Boscia will be in ninth position there ahead of Eric Kulaga, rounding out the top 10. Matthew Plazon's just outside of it. Drew Neubauer in the 12th. Jeff Carollo will be 13th ahead of Casey Metzger, who was on the podium in the first race. Justin Delano and Tristan Hurl were the top two. And those who didn't make the reverse grid requirement, Poco Free, Merling, Rasmussen, Hewitt, Kepler and Blumenkrantz all didn't make the required laps to be able to be included in that reverse grid. I believe it's 50%, and so they can't be included in that. They can't be put up towards the front, despite the fact they did finish in the classification down towards the back of the first race.
Yes, indeed, and so that's going to change things around just a little bit. And remember here, that mandatory pit stop going to certainly change things up, especially along this very, very long pit lane. It is the endurance pit lane around here. So as the drivers now, Lindley and Larson, work their way through the bus stop onto the Grand Prix start-finish straightaway. Remember, we are going to get started here after La Source, so a little bit of time to weave back and forth, get those tires up to temperature, see what they can do before they take this final hairpin and dive down the hill and up the hill again, up into Eau Rouge and Radion. Here they come, Lindley leading the way, waiting for the green flag to fly, and there it goes. We are racing in Spa. That was a little bit of a long wait there for that green flag. Almost caught me out of breath. But as they go, they fly up the hill right now. The first 5 or 6 cars getting single file, everything looking relatively nice and orderly. Kai DL already making up a position, as does Jerry R.A.W.S.
It looks like people have, well, I say that, it's actually quite manic in the back of the field. Those who did do very well in the first race looking to get up through the order very quickly indeed, including Trebor there in that third position. He was running in and around the top 5 for most of the race, as the AM cars also get underway now.
Yes, they do, and they get under full power here, working their way up the hill there. You can see the McLaren of Floria trying to hold back there a little bit, maybe trying to set himself up for a better run as they work their way up the hill. It's Martinez having some problems. Looks like there's been a little bit of a kerfluffle there in the back. I see Carollo, Metzger, Bushell dropping down the order.
Yeah, Bushell certainly was, I think, was the first actually to go off there. Casey Metzger was caught up in all of that as well. Oh, we've got a car upside down. Jeff Carollo's upside down in that one there. Rasmussen has been caught up in that one as well, I'm afraid. There's been a big incident back here. How on earth has Jeff Carollo ended up on his roof? Let's see. Oh, it happens in front of him here with the Mercedes that just clatters into him. And there's not a lot he could have done. Well, a bit unlucky, really, to end up quite so spectacularly rested. But either way, he'll be back to the pit lane, and it's going to be a long day for him from there and in. As yeah, it was Boschel who was the first car to get out of shape, as R.A.W.S has also been off the road in this opening moment. This is not good news for the championship leader at all.
No, it's not, and he has got to try to slice and dice his way through the field here a little bit. Fisher up ahead of him. Looks like there may have been a little bit of a problem. Menino, Costa, Erexoy. I think Menino actually getting out. Whoa! Big coming together there, and that is what caused R.A.W.S to go off, going up through the comb.
It might have been Dean Timms, maybe. Or Thomas Fisher, I don't know. One of the cars, anyway, got into the side of him. And there's more contact here. Mark Chapman off the road with Wilson as well, who was running in and around the top 5 in the first race. Won't be doing the same in this one. Mark Chapman is going to go back to the pit lane as well with suspension damage.
Yes, he is, and so much for running this race nice and clean here. Everything getting a little bit chaotic in the opening 3 minutes on the first lap, but up front it is Lindley that leads the way, but here comes Trevor. We've seen just how quick he can be in that Mercedes. He's going to send a move to what will be the outside of Lacombe as they fly down the Kemmel Straight, and he's going to get a little bit of a draft there from Lindley in front of him. 3 wide in the back.
This is absolute madness in the battle for 4th place. Looks like R.A.W.S is going to get that position, but watch out for R.A.W.S on the outside line, trying to make that work. It's all side by side between pretty much everybody here in this order. Absolutely remarkable to see, but thankfully everybody keeping things a little bit cleaner than what we saw, at least on lap 1.
Yes, they are, as they try to go now into Brussels, and there it is. That is the commentator's curse if I've ever seen it.
Oh dear, yeah, it's really, really manic, isn't it, back here? And R.A.W.S is going to be almost glad that he's not involved in some of this. And there it is again. Oh, 2 of the BMWs straight into the wall as well for the same team. And they all go flying through. Wills is going to gain a load of positions, and that's exactly why staying off the back of them is probably a better idea in some situations. Yeah, this is just all very messy.
It really was. It was just about 8 cars fighting for about 2 cars width of position. There you can see Menino, that turn down there. I think that was actually the number 8 there of Swank that maybe pulled in a little bit too much. And yeah, that is what just sent everybody around there. And at the exit of Speaker's Corner, that is such a high commitment corner that you really have no way to back out of it when you go through R.A.W.S now having problems down through Poohall.
And he can't really get off. Oh, goodness me. Thank goodness he gets off the road there in time. But it's a very awkward place to be sat. Now he's finally back going again. But he's going to be going very slowly on the racing line there. Oh, and he's caused the next accident there with a Ferrari going off the road onto the tarmac. Yeah, this has been a very, very chaotic opening 5 minutes to this race.
And I believe that was Andrew Hewitt that may have had that off, just kind of getting a little bit sideways there. Let's focus on something a little bit more calm right now for the moment. It's Michael Kulaga up front in the AM category right now, but behind him, Florea Martinez and Ponce running in a 3-car train here. Now that is going to be McLaren versus Ferrari versus BMW going down into the bus stop, and it looks like there the Martinez wants that position from the McLaren, but he goes a little bit wide.
Yeah, just holding on nicely there for the second, back for second. Meanwhile, the back for the lead is going on here with Trevor making his way through. Surely on the outside line here, Will Lindley's not going to be able to do anything here. And Trevor has got a real good chance of taking a race victory here. You saw how well he was running during the first race. His main rivals for this race win, in my opinion, are Jeremy Rest is probably the first of them in that 5th position there. Ouellette and DL as well. Are probably going to be trying to chase him down, but they're already quite a long way behind.
Yes, they are, and we follow here Thomas Fisher, who has taken some liberties with his naming rights on the SDK thing. And so that is, I want to know if that's actually on his birth certificate here. We're going to have to figure that out. But Steven Martinez here, we focus back in on the battle for P2 in that AM category. Martinez trying to close back in on the end of that McLaren. It looks like he is tantalizingly close, just not able to get the move where he wants to.
Yeah, not quite able to. I don't know if you remember, by the way, but that was Fisher's name last week as well, and David found it funnier this week than he did last week. I don't know if he just doesn't remember, but anyway. Anyway, it's he's having a bit of fun with his own name. He's having a bit of fun with his own name there. Oh dear, it's off the road for Neubauer, that is. It looks like Braden Mailing might have been involved. Not a good day for the championship leader coming into this race. Oh, dear.
Oh, little bit of ghost contact there. It looked like, unfortunately, for the 74, and that's what sent him around. But Braden Maling is going to be going around, and that is Florio off there. That's the McLaren that was running in second place in AM.
Yeah, I don't know if there was contact there either, but Pouon is a very difficult corner to go around indeed. So it might have been that he lost it on his own completely, especially in this McLaren. And there it is, going around. Did he collect anybody? Oh, he did. Goodness me, that was a hard impact in the wall for that Mercedes to go spearing back across the road. Thankfully not collected, and back across the road again. Thankfully not collected by anybody though.
Very, very lucky, and that gives us a chance to kind of talk about one of the downfalls of that McLaren, that off-throttle oversteer. The car, the rear end, gets twitchy when you're off the throttle, and that is exactly what you have going through Pujol. As we watch now, Matthew Plaisance trying to get by Kulaga there up in front of him in the Audi as they dive down into the bus stop. It looked for a second like Plaisance was going to have it. Here's Kyle Bose making a move around the outside, going down a little bit of argy-bargy there between himself and Shane Larson.
R.A.W.S has got to play this calmly there through Mal, but he could have got a really good run out of there and maybe taken the both of them, but decided he didn't actually want any part of it at all. And considering that one of them, they do look like teammates, they might not be, but anyway, one of them certainly just didn't not want to be involved in that particularly, and so yeah, he just stays behind for now. But Larson does come out on top in that one. It's a nice fight between the two. They were leaning on each other, but not being too aggressive.
Yeah, and that's exactly the kind of thing you want to see here in an elongated race like this, a 50-minute race. You can get your elbows out a little bit more in a sprint. Whoa, big crossover and back again there for Bose, moving this way and that. I didn't think that Mercedes could move that quick laterally.
Well, yeah, just trying to really catch Larson off guard a little bit, but slightly strange to do that into the chicane. You probably saved that for a move into Les Combes maybe. But apparently not. Just trying to make a move at any point possible. Maybe into Blanchimont. This is going to be the chance now. Outside line. It's going to be the inside for this little right-hand bend, but it's not really going to matter until they get to Blanchimont itself. Side by side through here. We've seen this end in disaster in the past. Let's see if this time. Oh, it has done again. The Lamborghini goes around. Larson is going to keep it out the wall remarkably, but he loses out on loads of positions.
A save of the century there for Shane Larson, but that is going to be a little solace to him, as you said, losing many, many positions as he came down through there. Let's ride on board. Check this catch. Able to catch it onto the grass. You could see the front end of that car begging to go off into that outside retaining barrier, and somehow he was able to catch it and keep it back forward and only find himself down to 8th place.
Yeah, that was a good recovery. Good 360 there, but he would rather have not done that. It's just side by side through Blanchimont, just hasn't worked all day long. It can work, but just didn't there. So yeah, not entirely sure who was at fault, but either way, doesn't really matter. Larson can continue on, and this battle for third is getting quite numerous now because of the fight that they were having. It's allowed the likes of Ouellette, let's just say, DL and Newburn involved in this one as well now in this battle for third. So yeah, it's allowed a few drivers to catch back on from behind, but they're all letting the likes of Trevor and Lindley get away with this race at the moment. I can't see those two being caught, especially Trevor.
No, I can't either. Trevor has just got his foot down here at this point. But one driver I am keeping my eye on here is Kai DL on that number 44 Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo, trying to get around. This is Jeremy Littleton now, trying to make a little bit of a move on Harry Wills. Remember, Wills had that spin beginning on, and he's trying to catch back up. He has got Long and Larson directly up ahead of him, who are battling, and that's going to be a good thing here for Harry Wills. That means that he's going to be able to gain some time on them, but he doesn't want him to block the track and prevent him from getting a move done. He's not going to wait around, looking around the outside, going down into Fagnes. Is he going to be brave enough to be able to pull it off? He's thinking about it.
He's going to try get the inside line for the second part, but he's got the outside for now. Stavolo and the Curveball Frere as well. Around the outside again. Oh, he has made it work. It's a nice flowing run around the outside there, and he's got it done. So Larson is going to have to just console himself with 10th position at the moment. Wills getting through into 9th and making good progress here. By the way, Sean Campbell was never able to get into this server, so well, he got him, but he was never able to take the start for some reason. Don't know why, but he's going to lose out on loads and loads and loads of points by the looks of things.
Yes, he is. As we check back in on that battle for P3 right now. Ooh, Kyle Bose. I wonder if he got a little bit of a slowdown penalty there, as it looks like he had to back off, letting Jeremy R.A.W.S back on by. That's going to put Ouellette right into the firing range. And now who can get the run here coming out of La Source, going down the hill? We're going to have to see, and don't sleep here on Reese Newburn. Kai DL also stalking behind to the tune of about 1.8 seconds. This is where the draft is going to come into play. Who's going to be able to time the run up Eau Rouge over Radial? Who's going to be able to do it? Here comes a good run from Kyle Bose. Is he going to be able to get the move done on Jeremy R.A.W.S? R.A.W.S is going to hold off to the left side of the track. Bose looking about it. He's going to stay in line.
Yeah, he stays behind. Just saw the bump drafting there going on up the straight, so no real interest between those two to really make any overtakes, and Harry Wills was not close enough into Le Com there to really hint at a move, so he's going to stay behind for now as well. Although it's a very nice run through Malmedy, and he might even have a chance into Bruxelles here. Not going for that one once again, just deciding to stay behind, just looking to pick up as many points as he can here, really try and keep his nose clean from here on in. I know he hasn't done that entirety of this race so far. Did get into the side of one of the, or a Mercedes got into the side of him, I should say, on the first lap, but he's trying to recover from those. Matthew Plaisance gets up into 5th place, which is a good gain from where he started this race, down in outside the top 10.
Yeah, he is up 10 positions as we focus back on that battle with Long and Wills. Wills trying to do what he did earlier, trying to go around the long way there of Fagnes. Now looking for a little bit of a crossover move. Can he make that stick? Now going down into Stavelot. A little bit of a defensive block there from Chris Long, but not enough to completely shut the door. Will's going to be very, very well positioned here going down into Blanchimont. He's going to get a better run there off of Campus, and they're going to be in a straight drag race down into the fast left-hander.
I think Long's going to back out of this one, or he'd be certainly sensible to do so, and he does. Whether he lifted out of that one or whether he just didn't have the pace, I'm not sure. But either way, probably better to go single file through there, as we've seen from past experience. Wills is going to make that way up into 8th place now, and it remains to be seen how much further he can get up the order here in this race. It's certainly going to get harder for him from here on in, because a lot of the drivers were in and around his position during the first race, so he doesn't exactly have a wild pace advantage over him like he might do some of those who are a bit further down the order.
Very true, and the other thing he's going to have working against him is he's now got about a 3-second gap up to Kai DL, and he is not going to have the benefit of the draft here to be able to make anything work. Let's check back a little bit. This is Tristan Hurl, who has got some pretty hefty damage on the front end of that 22. Let's go back and check out the replay, see what happened.
Yeah, race winner from the first race, of course, but not having a good time in the second. And that's a car into the wall in front of him, and not a lot he could have done. Not entirely sure who that was. I don't know. It looks like Urietsi who was off there in that BMW. And it's caused a lot of damage to the race 1 winner, I'm afraid, as Andrew Hewitt's recovering from a spin there as well.
Yes, he is, and drivers now just looking like they're trying to survive this war of attrition that is turning into race 2. Watching Casey Metzger here going down into the bus stop. Did he have a little bit of a problem? No, it looks like that was just a little bit of an error replay, as we did see him coming out into pit lane here. Focusing on Andrew Hewitt right now, back in 17th, the last classified driver here in the AM category.
Yeah, trying to find out what happened to him here out of the curve pull threat. Now, this might be a clue. Looks to be all fine through Stavelot. A little bit too far over that curb, runs a bit wide, out of shape, goes for a spin and does not hit the wall. So will recover nicely. However, loses out on quite a lot of time here. Slightly strange way of getting back going again, but either way, he is back going again without causing any trouble to anybody else. So I can't complain about that. But yeah, he's back going again, thankfully, but albeit a long way down.
A long way down in the order. Focusing back here on the battle right now for P3 in class. Jeremy R.A.W.S up in that pro category, starting to build a little bit of a gap over Kyle Boss, but you've got to watch out there for Ouellette. We know he's quick. We know he's got the ability to get a good push on.
He certainly has. This is the problem for Wills in 8th place behind, is the fact that these guys are going to be able to push on at a similar pace to what he is. It just depends how much fighting they actually do, and also depending in the course of Will Lindley's race, how much fighting they do as well, because I think that very much lies in the hands of them with regards to whether he's going to get a podium or not, as Shane Larson comes into the pit lane right now. You see R.A.W.S, how much of an inroad is he able to make in to Lindley? I mean, Lindley's doing high 16s. He's not exactly slow, but not as quick as Alex Trevor up out in front, and not as quick as the likes of R.A.W.S and Boss can go, for example. So if these guys fight, then Lindley will be able to likely hold on to a podium place, but if not, then he might well struggle.
Very well might. We're going to have to see how this plays out. We still have over half of this race left to go, so plenty of time to play out. Now, track temperatures rather, are a little bit on the chilly side, about 75 degrees, so I don't think we're going to have to be worrying too much about tire wear around here. There you can see 24 degrees Celsius and a good amount of 51% humidity, meaning there's going to be a little bit more downforce in the air to be able to push down on these cars. Remember, we do have to make a pit stop over the course of this race, and that's going to change up strategy quite a bit.
Yeah, it is. No tyre changes, of course, being made in these races, and there wouldn't be under pretty much any circumstances in any 50-minute race. So track temperature is not likely to be a huge issue. It's more about the fuel here with these guys. When do you take on that fuel, first of all, as well? But also how much of it, when do you have to come in, etc., etc. That is all to be working out throughout this race. Shane Larson already clearly believes he will be able to make it to the end of this race after pitting now. These cars, of course, fuel limited compared to what they normally are at about 50%, I think it is. So that it requires a pit stop in these second races, but not the first one of these races. So and that does make the race interesting, as that was an unintentional dive from Jonathan Roulette down into the bus stop chicane.
Oh, things getting a little bit spicy there for Roulette. Maybe trying to make a move, maybe trying to get a little bit farther forward here if he can. We're going to have to see if discretion is going to prove the better part of valor here for the number 27, or if he wants to get a move on. He can see up ahead of him Lindley and Trevor starting to run away.
Yeah, they are a little bit, and I think Trevor certainly is absolutely long gone in this race. As I said earlier, though, Lindley really does have his race being held in the hands of those guys who are fighting over that third place, and how much fighting they actually do here in this one. Thomas Fisher under a little bit of pressure at the moment from Torres and Wilson. I think David Christie just wants to see his name again, though. That's where we're seeing him at the moment. But anyway, it's the battle for third is certainly the closest one. Thomas Fisher might be involved a little bit later on.
And maybe a little bit later on, but we check back in on that battle for third, as it looked like R.A.W.S is starting to pull just a little bit of a gap here over the two, to the tune of about, let's call it 0.3 of a second or so, but it's getting very, very close with Roulette and Boss. Excuse me, call that 0.7 of a second up between R.A.W.S and Boss. Boss trying to hold off Roulette here, but Roulette looking very, very threatening in that camouflaged Mercedes, coming down now through Pujol. Is he going to be able to get a better run? He's got a little bit of a tighter apex there. Is that going to allow him to carry more speed? We've seen some moves going down into Fanyi's. Is he going to go for it? He's going to think about it. He's going to try to put the number 2 offline, but it looks like there the Kyle Boss is having none of it.
Yeah, it's difficult when you're not that far alongside, and when there's when you can't really get around the outside for the second part, because of course it does turn to the outside there, so it's quite difficult if you're only that far alongside. So Roulette is going to have to try again somewhere else, and maybe into the bus stop chicane. He's starting to flash the lights, and he's starting to get impatient here, because Boss is looking in the mirrors just a little bit right now, and it's allowing R.A.W.S to get up the road a little bit and get a few tenths of a second. If Roulette can get through here quickly, then he might just be able to latch onto the back of R.A.W.S, and they might be able to catch the two leaders with each other. Oh, he's so late on the brakes into the bus stop chicane, but he pulls it up in time, and the two are going to battle side by side through the chicane.
Yes, they are, and it looks like there the Boss is just going to have a little bit of a narrow advantage on speed, but that's going to be Roulette down to the inside. He's going to have to be later on to the binders, going into La Source to try to pull this off. Is he going to be able to do it? A little bit of a pinch there for the two, trying to narrow off that exit, but I'm not sure it entirely worked as they continue to run here. The number 2 looking like they're going to be a little bit ahead. Is this going to be an issue of Roulette having to back off up Rouge? And that's exactly what he had to do. Now he's got to walk out from behind. It's Reese Newburn, and that Ferrari's got something to say.
Yeah, really big overspeed for him over Ruddy on there, but not really anywhere to go with it. Oh, big defence there from Boss as well as he makes it 3 wide. Now the Ferrari is going to have its nose in front on the way in here. Braking late for Newburn. Is he going to be able to get into 4th place? Ouellette is through on Boss, but he hasn't been able to get 4th place despite all of that. Outside of Malmedy, not able to do it, and he's still stuck in 5th place.
And look at that defensive move there from Newburn, trying to cover off that inside, going down into Brussel's, seeing if he can maybe run out that Mercedes a little bit wide, but now it's going to come back to favor the Mercedes as they go through No Name. A little bit of a push wide. They're still duking this out side by side. Are they going to keep this up there? Pujol, don't make that 3 wide. That's not going to end well. Side by side through Pujol, Ferrari versus Mercedes. Maybe a little bit of contact there between the two. A little bit more at the exit. They're still side by side.
Yeah, this is outrageous, this battling now. Ouellette finally looks like he's got it as long as he can stick to the apex here. I was almost encouraging R.A.W.S to make it 3 wide there. Although into Pujol, it might not have been the greatest idea. He decided to stay behind and it was probably the right decision. And it was definitely right for Jonathan Ouellette there to really try hard to get into that 4th position because he knows that if he leaves it too long, R.A.W.S is going to get too far up the road for him to catch, and he won't be able to get that podium here in race 2 that he's been searching for. So while it did cost him a lot of time at the time, he will thank himself a little bit later on for making this move. Newburn and Boss are going to be left to fight over 5th place now, and I don't think they're going to stop.
I don't think they are either. Another defensive move there coming from Newburn, covering off the attack of that Mercedes as they go down into the bus stop. Let's take another look at this, Ewan. This was incredible.
Yeah, it really was a great battle between the two, and then R.A.W.S nearly got involved here as well. Look how close they are. This from camera shot, but look at R.A.W.'s thoughts almost writ large for us out loud in the background here. Well, yeah, we're positively in the side of the Ferrari now, going down towards Pujol, just leaving enough room on the exit there, and finally it was really done through here into the chicane. Once again, Boss trying to make it 3 wide. You can almost see him thinking about it again, but late onto the brakes, slides across the nose of the Ferrari, and that's when the move was done. And I don't think they're going to see Ouellette again in this race.
I don't think they are either, but I absolutely love being able to see that on board from Ouellette. You saw those micro changes that he was making into the steering wheel. Oh, it's not done. That is Newburn right up on by past the Kemmel Straight.
Oh, how did that happen? Because he had car limps there to Ouellette when we left them to have a little bit of a replay there. And all of a sudden he's getting overtaken by Newburn. So I don't know quite what's gone on there, but he's down nearly outside the top 5 here. This is the move down into Lecombe. And Ouellette, clearly, I didn't let him have that one, but how did he let that even happen? How did he even let them have the opportunity? And now R.A.W.S decides to go through as well. I'm not sure. I think there's damage on the front of that car. I know the camouflage livery is doing its job at the moment. We can't really see, but I think there's damage, and I think Ouellette has hit something or someone here.
I think you may be right, because look who just arrived on the scene. That is Harry Wills, easily able to get by the Canadian there and move his way up into that 6th place position. Remember, starting from the back of the field here, Wills trying to capitalize on the fact that his title rival, Sean Campbell, is not here for this 2nd race. He wants to pick up as many points as possible.
Oh yeah, as you would, and yeah, the main championship contenders, by the way, really not up towards the front here. Wills is not that far up. Campbell's not really scoring any points. Timms is only in 10th place. Kai DL is in 8th place. He's 4th. Ouellette is 5th, and he's probably he was having the best race of those top 5 championship contenders, but not really. R.A.W.S probably in 6th place in the championship. Is the first driver to really have his race go to plan so far. But yeah, yet to get to the bottom of really what's happening to Ouellette at the moment, because 7th place is, really dropping off the pace quite drastically here.
Yeah, he is certainly fallen off the back, and it looks like he's losing a little bit of time now to Wills as they run. And I got to agree with you. I wonder if that little bit of side contact that we saw there coming down the hill, I wonder if that maybe could have very slightly damaged the splitter, maybe some of the side aerodynamic generation devices on that car, and that just threw him off. As you see there, the closing speed coming up from behind from Boss, we're not seeing that out of Ouellette in the back.
Not quite. Newburn, whoa, you would have thought he would have to defend a little bit from Boss there, but not really. Maybe they do have designs on maybe getting a podium here and they want to keep the pace up, but that hasn't really been a trend we've seen very much of so far. These two our teammates, by the way, just by the pure look of their liveries. They look like teammates. So looking to try and do something. As this is Dave Menanoa sending it down the inside of Swank there. And he makes his way through up into 14th position. A little bit further behind. It's Fernando Torres and James Costa. I'm reliable. In fact, not the footballer who used to play for Liverpool. I think it's different. But it's in 16th at the moment and holding off James Costa.
Yeah, and you can see there the damage on the back, on the side there of Costa's machine. That's obviously going to be hurting him a little bit as we focus now on the leader of the AM category, Kulaga, who has really been able to stretch his legs quite extensively here over Steven Martinez, his teammate, both of them driving for that Vulture Motorsports team. He's got about a 2.2 second advantage as they run, and so that's going to be some healthy breathing room here for the Ferrari.
Yes, a nice bit of breathing room right now. But it's certainly not an unassailable margin, as we saw in the first race, really. I really thought that Matthew Green was going to take home the victory, and he had a couple of seconds with about 10 minutes to go earlier on. But yeah, it's not really, it didn't really turn out that way, as the battle for fourth continues. Harry Wills now moves up into the top 5.
Yes, he does. Harry just continuing to try to claw his way up forward. A good run there. Now it's going to be Reese Newburn trying to play defense here a little bit. And I've got to think that if Harry's able to get this move done, potentially going down on the Kemmel Straight, we may be looking at a potential podium here for him, as the battle up ahead of him, not that far ahead. And Jeremy R.A.W.S and Will Lindley have caught up to each other, and they're going to start battling here in a few minutes.
Well, that's the plan. Right, Wills, it's a bit of damage to the front right there because of the contact, possibly earlier, maybe a bit more contact further on, but let's see how much light work he's going to make of these guys. Well, I think it's going to be very light work indeed. Newburn, not even defending. Boss is going to push him here as well. I think Wills is going to not be seen again by these guys, because you see their compromise line by Boss. If he can stay with Wills, he'll be very pleased, but I think he's going to struggle to, as the battle for second now really does continue. I said that Lindley's race really was being held in the hands of those fighting over third. Well, they allowed one driver to get clear, and Jeremy R.A.W.S now is into second place. I still don't think he can catch Alex Trevor, but at least Lindley now is really going to be clinging on to this podium with his fingertips now. You can just see in the background there's a number of very fast drivers willing to take it off him.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. Trevor's been able to build a gap here of about 7.6 seconds as we have now crossed over the halfway point, getting closer to 30 minutes done in this race. And that tells me that we're getting into that window where we're going to start to see some pit stops firing off here, and maybe looking for some drivers to go for the undercut, trying to maybe push long. Harry Wills getting a little bit squirrely there. Let it never be said that the 95 isn't pushing.
Yeah, he certainly is pushing at the moment, and it just makes you wonder what he could have done if he hadn't had that spin on the first lap of this race, because he's still performing very well despite all of that, as the battles in the pack, in the AM category, just starting to heat up at the moment. Justin Delano, who took home second, I think it was, through out the first race after all of the incidents and accidents that happened towards the end. He's now looking at the top 5 quite possibly. We'll see how high up he can get throughout this race. It doesn't look like he's really taken any of his companions with him from the top 3 in the first race. He's kind of out on his own, but see how far up into the top 5 he can get.
We'll have to see indeed, as there you can see the gap already starting to grow for Harry Wills. It is up to about 0.5 of a second as they run their way out of La Source. That's still going to be, is Chris Long around in the back in the bus stop. I wonder if that was some contact, or maybe just a little bit too early of throttle application there for the number 90.
See what happened to him? Oh, he's all on his own here. This is not going to be good viewing for him, I'm afraid. Out the final bus stop chicane. Well, that is very weird. These cars have traction control, and that shouldn't be a problem, really, that kind of acceleration. Chris Long, I'm afraid, has had that problem there, and oh no, don't reverse onto the line. Oh, that was very close to disaster. Fortunately, he didn't reverse into anybody, and he gets back going again, but it wasn't ideal. Very weird, though, to lose it out with traction control on, you think?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And I know some of the pro drivers here really prefer to turn that traction control down a little bit. They feel that it hampers their natural driving ability and they are better able to regulate the traction. But we very, very rarely see a full tire spin like that getting on the throttle out of the slow speed corner. I wonder if maybe he was just trying to dig a little bit more and was used to taking that corner in second gear, maybe popped it down into first to try to get a better blast off of the line, and that just threw him off a little bit.
Yeah, it's difficult to say, but yeah, as I say, traction control really should be saving him from that kind of spin. This is Casey Metzger going off the road, by the way. Oh crap, I thought this was a slow motion shot. No, he literally is just coasting along. I don't know if his engine might have gone. I don't think he'll be out of fuel at this stage because pretty much nobody has stopped. But I think his engine might have blown, actually. He's already got damage on that car, and I think the engine would have taken damage. It was overheating more and more and more, and then finally, I think it would have blown up, although I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I can report, by the way, that we do have at least one taker down pit lane here, a couple at this point. It looks like Thomas Fisher and Fabian Ponce have both decided to make their pit stops. Also seeing Andrew Rasmussen and John Casey all coming down. So as we cross over the 30-minute mark here, plenty of drivers.
This is all very close for second position. This is what I mean about Alex Trebor, who's not going to be seen again. He surely is going to take home this race win, even if the likes of R.A.W.S or Ouellette get in front here and really start to motor on. I still don't think that enough time is left in this race for the lead to change again. However, these battles in and around this 2nd to 7th battle going to change many, many more times from here. It's a 6-car train. It's just bubbling up for the moment. Not really seeing those proper battles just for now. However, we will do as this race develops. But of course, we've got the pit stops coming up, so we might not get as much battling as we think.
Very true. We've often seen that those pit stops tend to separate out the field a little bit depending on when everybody decides to come in together. But while we've got a little bit of a lull here, I want to give a massive, massive thank you to a couple of our sponsors, including Sim3D and Go for the Gap. Sim3D makers of some great, great hardware out there, and Go for the Gap, an Etsy store that has some truly spectacular motorsports art. I have to encourage you to go check it out. I have been eyeing a couple of those pieces for my own wall as we watch R.A.W.S moving down to the inside of Lindley into Poohall, and he's going to take 3rd place away.
He certainly does, and Lindley is going to miss out on this podium, which he will have thought at the start of this race and as it was developing that he might have just been able to grab here in the reverse grid, but it doesn't look like he's going to. Even if he stays with these guys, though, it's a solidly inside the top 10 finish for him, and that is a very, very encouraging result indeed, especially considering where he is in the championship. Didn't appear in either of the first 2 races here at Le Mans, and didn't perform particularly well in the first race here either. Didn't pick up many points, so it just stay inside the top 10 comfortably would be a decent result for him.
Looks like Jonathan Ouellette there, sending a move down to the inside of the entrance of Blanchimont over Newburn, and that is going to put him up into 6th place. Here is R.A.W.S leading that train as Alex Trebor, your leader, comes on down pit lane. Is this going to kick off a flurry of pit stops? It doesn't look like it. Jeremy West will be coming in, as will Reese Newburn, but it doesn't look like the whole field opting to come down here. They think they've got enough for another lap.
I think they've only got enough for one more, really, based on what we saw during the EU race earlier on. Don't know quite what the laps were in terms of how long they were able to go. However, they were able to go about 36 minutes into the race. That's about where we'll be when we get to the pit lane entry next time around. Will's clearly deciding to stay on one more lap here and just drill it in the clean air. I think he could well be possibly side by side with R.A.W.S when he comes out of the pit lane in a few moments' time. But behind, they're not stopping at all in terms of the battling. Carl Boss is going to go through on Will Lindley, but I think everybody realises that staying single file and keeping your pace high is important on this in-lap.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And remember, these two are teammates, so I do wonder if there was maybe a little bit of team communication there, opting to play a little bit of leapfrog to try to keep those cars going as fast as possible. That is always a strategy that we tend to see here. Maybe a little bit more on the oval side, but definitely around some of these longer tracks where you do have those excellent draft opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, it's important on a circuit, really, to just stay single file at this stage in the race. I don't think it really matters. They've just got to try and go as quickly as possible and avoid this, whatever this is happening up front here. One of the AM cars getting off the road, I'm afraid, and going to be getting out the way of these four as they roar on by. But yeah, they've just got to go as quickly as possible. Surely they're all going to be in here. If they can go 2 more, then great as well. They can try and overcut them by a couple of laps. But in terms of the overcut, undercut, whatever, it shouldn't really matter too much. It really is down to your pace rather than tyres or fuel or anything like that. There's no real strategy element to these races other than a lap of fuel here or there. There's really not much to it. Zulette looks like he's going to try and get through on Lindley here, or at least push him or go through. Other things inside of Blanchimont, and they're going to not battle into this corner, which is probably the sensible thing to do.
Yeah, very much so, and that's the second time we've seen Ouellette be able to get that there, so that tells me that car is very, very well tuned to be able to come around as here comes some pit stops. That's going to be Harry Wills coming in. Looks like Ouellette's going to stay out, though, but Harry getting knocked up there a little bit by the 93 in front of him. That is Ed Wordfry.
A brake check there from the 93 Ferrari as well. Not entirely sure what that was all about, but it's completely undone all of the hard work that was done on that outlap there. Ouellette stays out once again. Harry Wills is going to be absolutely furious with whatever happened there, because there was definitely a car brake checking him going on the way into the pit lane there. Who on earth was that? Egbert Procfidi there in the AM category. The 93 Ferrari. Going to land himself surely in some trouble for that, because I know there was contact on the way in, but there was certainly some brake checking going on afterwards. I'm going to see it here. The reason I exclaimed initially was because I knew he was going to lose time behind this slower car, damaged car, getting into the pit lane, but the first contact was kind of accidental there from Wills, just trying to get into the pit lane. Slows, and then again, and then brakes properly. Yeah, that's going to land him in some trouble.
I think the stewards are going to have a look at that after the race, most certainly. As not only is that going to slow him down, but there could be a little bit of damage to the front end of that number 5 Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo. And look at that, he loses a position coming out of pit lane. That's going to be Boss up ahead of him.
Yeah, it is. Trevor's going to go sailing on through, and there's no surprise about that. But where is the likes of Newburn in this one? And where's Lindley as well? He's just in behind. There's Boss coming around the corner. There's Lindley out the corner now. Newburn's nowhere here. Newburn is absolutely nowhere. He didn't have that much of a longer stop. He had the same amount of time in the pit lane as Lindley. He lost out on a couple of seconds compared to these guys, but yeah, he's quite a long way down. In all honesty, is Newburn there? So I'm a bit surprised about that. But this battle for second, looks like it's going to be exclusively between these two.
Yeah, the only fly in the ointment to this battle could be Jonathan Ouellette. If he's able to put in a blinder of an outlap here, he could have something to say about it as we focus back on 13th right now. This is Thomas Fisher running along in that Audi. That is going to be Costa trying to close in behind him in that Twisted Racing Team BMW.
Yeah, just going to try and get through for the moment. It's actually in the AM category in the EU, and so is Dean Timms, by the way. They're both up towards the front there. Costa qualified on pole for the first race earlier on today in that EU race, but he's in the pro category here, and he's much further towards the back here in the US version, because he is in the pro category after all. Just trying to get that position off of Fisher as Boss and Wills continue their battle. Will it involve Jonathan Ouellette? I feel like it won't. I think it's going to be between these two for the remaining 2 steps on the podium.
Yeah, I think you are right there. I think that's how it's going to shake out. Although we are going to have to see what happens with Ouellette. Here comes Harry Wills looking down to the inside, going into the bus stop, but it doesn't look like the boss has any intention of giving that position away. Whoa, up onto the curb, almost contact there, and momentum is going to favor Harry Wills around the outside.
Yeah, second place. A great recovery for Wills given the spin that he had earlier on. And since Sean Campbell's not in this race, he's going to gain a massive 46 points in this championship and come out with 50 points over Campbell, arguably his most realistic rival here in this one. Although Ouellette is already going, they might well have some trouble off him here. Ouellette is a lot closer to them than I was expecting him to be. He leaves after, only not really a shorter pit stop than them, but clearly a better in-lap. And, wow. A slower outlap for these guys, and Ouellette has jumped them both.
Yes, he has. Ouellette finds himself about 1.2 as they start to stabilize 1 second in front of Harry Wills. So this battle may continue on here in the final 9.5 minutes of this race. Harry Wills has got to be scrapping and clawing, trying to get his way forward. But I think he's also going to watch out from behind because Kyle Boss isn't going to let this go quietly.
No, they're all going to fight over these final spots on the podium in these final 10 minutes, it looks like. Meanwhile, behind, by the way, not entirely sure what happened to Jeremy West in that pit stop there, but it was a good 15 seconds longer than it should have been, and that is why he is so far down in 8th place at the moment. Also, Kai Diel on this most recent lap has disconnected from the race, and he will finish probably down in 18th, or maybe worse, probably 18th place after that disconnection.
And that's a little bit of disappointment there for Kai Diel, who has looked very, very strong over the course of the past 2 rounds, having a rough go out here. We'll maybe see if we can figure out exactly what happened to the driver of the 44. But our eyes focus here right now on the battle of these 3 Mercedes. Alex Trebor out in the lead, checked out to the tune of about 4.5 seconds. It is really all a battle for these final podium positions.
Yeah, this is where the main focus is going to be throughout the remainder of this race, because it is certainly very close up here for this battle for the win, battle for the final podium places in Pro. In AM, I'm not sure if there is a battle for the lead. There could well be a battle for the lead going on at the moment, although the timing screen could be playing tricks on us at the moment. Off the road for the 93 Ferrari, and we do know that this car could find itself in a bit of trouble in the future. But I think Michael Kulaga and Steven Martinez, only a second and a half between them. One to keep an eye on over the final 8 minutes.
Yeah, most certainly. We watch here what happened to Ed, and that number 93 coming down through Fani's just kicks up a little bit of dirt. Whoa, that was a lucky break there for the BMW not to get collected.
Yeah, just a bit of avoiding action there, but getting way too much over that curb on the left-hand side there and spinning around. Not exactly. Oh, dear me. Spinning around and on the grass, trying to get back going again. Thankfully, successfully so on this occasion, but oh dear. Boss is disconnected by the looks of things. A real shame, and so is Dean Timms. Oh dear.
Oh my goodness, we're having some DC issues here, some disco issues later on in the race. Absolutely gutting for a couple of these drivers.
Yeah, it is. Fernando Torres also now drops out as well. Now Wilson goes. Yeah, we're seeing quite a few now. We're seeing quite a few all at once, or relatively all at once. Relatively quick succession. Kyle Boss going. Yeah, it was the first, and yeah, it hasn't been the last, I'm afraid, as well. That's 5 drivers dropping out immediately. That's just the Pro category, by the way. Don't know about the AMs, whether there's been any there.
I'm not sure either. I'm trying to look down through the field, and I don't see a whole lot of them, but my goodness, this has certainly just thrown everything off.
There's been James Hebb and Charles Boschel look like they've both disconnected as well from AM, so although I'm unsure whether they were actual disconnections or not. So what happened to Kyle Boss? I'm sure it is just a disconnection. I think he's just going to disappear up through R.A.W.S here. Oh no! Oh, sorry, no.
That's very strange. That almost looks like a hardware issue or something happened in real life there for Kyle that he had to just get off the sim.
Oh, no. I actually don't think... I actually do think it's disconnection after, actually. Because of the way Dean Timms behaved there in terms of his car. About Hebb. See if there's any conclusions we can draw this as well. Oh, yeah, that car's not there anymore. You can see. There's some strange gremlins going on at the moment, I have to say, in this race. And Casey now briefly dropping out, but gets back in again. Yeah, it's not. There were suspicions at the Le Mans race when we had some connection problems that it could have been down to the European drivers here in the US server. However, there was Kyle Boss in that one, and he is definitely American, and he had connection problems there as well. So it is clearly not just a European thing on this occasion, if indeed it was last time.
And it looks like there that Andrew Rasmussen having a little bit of a problem going down through Pool. The rear end of that Porsche just breaking away there. And he does a nice little pirouette, able to get off to the side, get that car stopped, to get it back going. Nice catch there for him. We do have a couple of battles that still play out here right now, namely this one that we watch right now, Reese Newburn and Will Lindley. Now, this is for 4th place in the pro category, and with only about 5 minutes to go, this could get a little bit spicy.
Certainly could. And yeah, let's see what's going to happen between these two. Just reading a little bit of a chat in the Discord at the moment, by the way, about those disconnections. Chase Wilson describing it as something that he's never experienced before, never been disconnected like that. He's one of those who got disconnected in those last few moments. But it said it was very, very weird. And yeah, they do look very, very weird, these disconnections. Don't look like normal ones. As Jeremy R.A.W.S now comes under pressure from one of his teammates, I think, in Dave Menanoa. Or they're in very similar deliveries anyway. Don't think they're actual teammates. They're certainly not behaving like it. Side by side. Oh, through the chicane and off the road for West.
Barely able to hold that on, putting on his drifting skills through the kitty litter. R.A.W.S doing a very, very good job to keep that car pointed the right way. Here comes Delano and Kulaga. A nice little battle starting to shape up.
Yeah, Delano, of course, recovering from well back in the field after finishing 2nd in the first race, but easily doing the best of those who finished on the podium during that first one. You can see Justin Hurl there in only 17th position after this race so far. So Delano clearly doing very well in the AM Stakes here. Not with a great run out at Le Mans, but having a real good performance here, and started this particular race only 18 points off the championship lead of Jeff Carollo. So yeah, they're very much going to be jumping up the order after this is all said and done, as we see Alex Trebek just completing his penultimate lap at the moment, or starting his penultimate lap, I should say, on his way to a possible race win. He's being caught by Jonathan Roulette by 1.2 seconds on that last lap. Sorry, 8 tenths of a second, I should say, on that last lap, but the gap is still 2.5 seconds.
Yes, it is. And here's a little bit of a problem for Dave Menino, having a little bit of a connection issue there going down into Le Sorte. And then he spun coming down onto it. I think maybe the connection just throwing him off a little bit, as he's having problems as well. Menino is going to be able to recover and hold on to the place right there. As we continue to watch, though, Alex Trebek. Now, that is a lapped car in between himself. That's Eric Blumenkrantz in between himself and Ouellette.
Yes, that's going to help him out a little bit, actually. Even if there is any pressure here for Trebek, he should just surely be able to just run this pace in the 216s, the mid-216s that he's been running this entire race, and he should be able to take home the victory without any mistakes here, of course. It's been a great race for him. Undoubtedly not the fastest driver in this field, in this race or the first one, but he's going to come out with the race win here in race 2, I think. And it's purely going to be down to this reverse grid. Of course, he's got to convert from there. He's got to get to the front, and he's got to do the pace from there on in. However, it's still a product of the reverse grid, but it's exactly why we love the reverse grid. It gets us different winners here in these races. It's been all Sean Campbell and Harry Wills so far, but Wills and Campbell are going to be denied on this occasion, I do believe, by Trevor. And if not, it's going to be Ouellette who's going to really give the challenge in this final lap, which is coming up right now.
Yes, it is, and let's see as they cross over the line if Ouellette was able to close down there a little bit more. Let's see what it was. He was able to close by about 2.5 tenths of a second, so that's a good close in, but that's not going to be nearly enough, I think, for Ouellette to really be able to do it. The one thing that I have my eye on, though, is that Harry Wills is only about 9 tenths of a second behind Jonathan Ouellette. That's going to be in draft range, and we may see a little bit of gamesmanship there between the 27 and the 95.
Yeah, he has been closing in. It was another 6 tenths of a second over that last lap. Oh, he's a bit too far back, really, to be grabbing too much of a slipstream. Certainly, if he's making a move. Maybe if he has a really storming middle sector, he will be there in time for the bus stop chicane. But I think Ouellette is going to hold off, as we've got an incident with Fisher and James Costa, I think it was, who he was fighting with. And they're still fighting a little bit at the moment, or they were, I should say. Yeah, Fisher ending up off the road at Blanchimont and into the bus stop chicane.
And that'll send him out a little bit. That gap holding at about 9/10 of a second to a second right now. So Ouellette looking like he's doing what he needs to do to be able to hold on to that second place position as they run. Working their way out of No Name, now down into Pujol. Only a couple of more corners here to go. Can Ouellette, can the Canadian hold this out?
Yeah, it's... he should be able to, but Wolves is really giving him some problems here in the last few moments. Final chicane to go, and will he be close enough for that run into the bus stop chicane? I don't think he will be. You see these car lengths just a little bit too much at the moment, as R.A.W.S just going to nurse this one home as well for this race win. The gap's just slightly too big for this race to really change.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like we're going to see a whole lot of changing here in the top three in the pro category as they run. Waiting to see here, though, the Texan, R.A.W.S, in the number 50 Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo is going to bring that car down into the bus stop for the final time. One corner into two corners, and he is going to bring it out nice and easy, and R.A.W.S will take victory at Spa, followed home by Jonathan Ouellette with Harry Wills in third.
Yeah, Will's very pleased with that recovery drive in the end, and another podium for him, his fourth in a row now in the 4 races we've had so far this season, and he will extend his championship lead drastically with the absence of Sean Campbell. Stephen Martinez, though, is going to be trying to pass Eric Coulager here on the final lap. These two both part of Vulture Motorsports, so they won't be battling too hard between themselves. However, the gap is not big in this battle for the AM win.
No, it certainly isn't, as he's going to close down here. It's about 0.6 of a second as they fly their way through Blanchimont. I think that may be a little outside of the realm of possibility, but rest assured the Martinez is going to be pushing tooth and nail to the very, very end. Closes up here into the braking zone for the bus stop. He's going to get within about a car length, but as they accelerate out of corner, it is going to be the 82 of Michael Coulager that will take victory in the AM category.
Yeah, pushed all the way there by his teammate, but in the end it's a 1-2 for them. Coulager taking the victory, and a very deserved one as well. Martinez flashing the lights over the line. Very pleased with second place and that 1-2. Fabian Ponce there on the podium on this occasion. Thought he was actually going to be able to maybe do a bit more and take the win here in this one. However, he did just want to get some points on the board after that late incident at Blanchimont he had. I think he might well take over the championship lead, actually, with that drive there, so he won't be very disappointed at all. In the end, he'll actually be pretty pleased. But, yeah, there we go. Another couple of great races here at Spa in this series, and it just continues on to deliver.
It most certainly does, Ewan, and we are very, very blessed to be able to do the commentary on this series. It is absolutely electric every time we get out onto the track as we just wait here for the final driver to cross over the start-finish line here. As we are treated to it, as there you can see a couple of the drivers doing their cool down laps as they go. And that's going to bring us to our final results for the race here today. As we said, it was R.A.W.S that was able to take victory in that pro category ahead of Jonathan Ouellette and Harry Wills, capitalizing on Sean Campbell's disconnect early in the race. Reese Newburn and Will Lindley round out your top 5 with Jeremy R.A.W.S and Chris Long in 7th. Dave Menino was 8th, followed by James Costa with Thomas Fisher rounding out your top 10. It was Jeremy Littleton, the last driver to finish on the lead lap, with Shane Larson and Ariel Rexoy behind them. Dean Timms, Kyle Voss, Chase Wilson, Fernando Torres, and Kai DL suffering from some of those mysterious disconnection issues that we saw plaguing drivers over the course of the race. Drew Swank, Matthew Green, Mark Chapman, and Sean Campbell rounding out your 22-car pro field. And what about the AMs here, Ewan?
It was very close between Michael Coulager and Stephen Martinez, but in the end it was in favour of Coulager even by only half a second. Fabian Ponce was not too far behind. Matthew Plaisance in 4th ahead of Justin Delano, who recovered from the back of the field. Eric Coulager just outside that top 5 ahead of Travis Kepler. Braden Melling losing a lot of points today, I'm afraid. In 8th place, Andrew Rasmussen and Drew Neubauer rounding out the top 10. Daniel Florea was the final car on the lead, that with John Casey just off of it. Andrew Hewitt also 1 lap down ahead of the 93 Ferrari that might well find itself in a bit of trouble for pit lane antics earlier on in the race. James Hebb unfortunately disconnected in that mysterious phase of the race, along with Charles Bushell. Tristan Hurl in the end was recovering from a crash early on to pick up those points for 17th. Casey Metzger, Eric Blumenkrantz were next up ahead of the 79 Mercedes, the 54 and the 52 rounding out the order after early issues for them, I'm afraid.
Yes, it did. And that is going to wrap up our coverage here from Spa-Francorchamps. But do not worry, folks. We will be back next week as we trade in some of these long circuits for a little bit more of a twisty schedule. That's right. We head to Imola next time out, and that is going to be one you do not want to miss here for the World Series Leagues. But on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, Ewan O'Leary, and David Christie, our director and producer behind the scenes, we would like to thank you for joining us here today. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.